comment. I am Vince Jackson, Executive Director of the Greater Northampton Chamber of Commerce, and we want to say welcome, and we thank you for linking up or linking in with us this afternoon to learn about some great breakthrough research that's been conducted by the Sphere Northampton. And we want to welcome Dr. Megan Allen and Grace Kim. But before I do that, I do want to say thank you to Florence Bank, our sponsor of the Greater Northampton Chamber of Commerce's Link&Learn series. Through the generosity of Florence Bank, we are able to provide absolutely free these educational programs because Florence Bank believes that a well-informed and educated community is the greatest thing for our community. So we are so appreciative of their support. And I also want to just say my heartfelt appreciation to all the partners in the room who are involved with the Sphere. That's Common Capital. Roberto, we see you. Liberty Bank, always a great friend. We're waiting for you. Come join us soon. And everyone else who's just part of this collaborative family of folks who have had a hand in, and also one of our newest investors, LivingLocal413. Or did I mess it up? Local Living 413. You know who we are. So just heartfelt thanks to coming together in a collaborative way, investing in our community in this way, and just sharing knowledge and being part of all that sort of makes us strong. So thank you all for your investment in the Chamber and your investment, most importantly, in our business community and the community at large. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Megan and Grace, and they'll take you through what the rest of the agenda is.
Thanks so much, Vince. Hi, everybody. It's so wonderful to be with you all today. I hope you are someplace warm. I still have my winter jacket on, even though I'm inside. So that's the Tampa in me. But hi, I'm Megan. I'm the owner of the Community Classroom. We are a tutoring center located in Florence, a village of Northampton. And I'm also the co-founder of the Sphere Northampton. And I'm super excited to be here to nerd out with you all over some research that we've been conducting in the Pioneer Valley. And I'm super excited to introduce you to someone I look up to, love, and adore, Grace Kim, and I'll let her introduce herself. Take it away, Grace.
Thank you, Megan. Hi, everyone. My name is Grace Kim, and I'm the owner of Mapping Insight. It's a technical business consulting company that specializes in all things data. And I am super excited to have teamed up with the Sphere to do this research study and share some of the results and the data that we got from the survey. So back to you, Megan.
All right. Thanks, Grace. Grace is also a member of our advisory board at the Sphere and participated, quick slide share, hold on, and participated in our first accelerator program. So we're excited to have her here for many reasons. So thank you all so much. All right. I'm going to stop share and see if I can share my whole screen. You know, we've used Zoom like it's like our best friend since the pandemic, and you think you know what you're doing with it, and then all of a sudden it's like messing with you. There we go. Can you all see my whole screen, or do you see?
I just see black.
All right. Try number 3. Third time's the charm, right? All right, everybody send their good juju. Da-da-da. All right, how are we doing now?
It's weird, it's not in presentation mode, but we can.
You know, I'm clicking presentation mode and it's not doing it. So we're just going to do it like this, and you all can see all my tabs and judge me silently. All right. And you know what? It's freezing up again. Hey, Grace, do you have it by chance?
I do. Yeah, I'd be happy to share.
Thanks,
So let's
Grace.
see if I can do this. And let me,
I can tee us up while you're getting that ready.
yeah.
The Sphere Northampton, we are, I guess the Greater Northampton Chamber of Commerce is kind of like one of our parents, also the Downtown Northampton Association. But we're a 501c3 nonprofit that supports, now she got it, that supports women and non-binary entrepreneurs in Western Mass by providing educational resources, professional trainings, networking events, and more. We also have a co-working space for women, gender expansive, and non-binary entrepreneurs and professionals. And usually our Wi-Fi works a little better than it's working today. So thanks, Grace.
You're very welcome.
Can I do like the automatic click? Click.
Yes. Oh, let's see if I can get this going. Aha. Yes.
There we go.
There we go.
All right, next click, Grace. So we're trying to make today's presentation interactive, and also it's a data collection tool for me and Grace to get feedback. So we are leading this research project. It is generously funded by Liberty Bank. Everybody say hi, Dawn. And in partnership with Common Capital and LivingLocal413. So we are so grateful for our partners and our funders. But this is an opportunity for us to share some initial data with you all and get your feedback, your questions, your ideas. So we've done the introductions. We're going to do a little overview of our research study and talk about the design. Then the demographics, the findings and discussion of the external barriers, and then the finding and discussion of the personal challenges. And just out of curiosity, who in the room actually took the survey, so is a participant? And you don't have to identify yourself if you don't want to, but all right, awesome. Thanks, Grace.
Sure.
So the big question is, what's holding entrepreneurs back? So in 2021, at the inception of the Sphere, before there was a Sphere, we read a statewide research study by Jay Ash, who was at the Massachusetts Competitive Partnership. He was also the Secretary of Housing and Economic Development for Charlie Baker. So he worked for the state. And one of the studies they did was on women entrepreneurs in Massachusetts, and they did this statewide study. And so with a grant from Mass Tech, we decided to do a hyper-local study and look at women entrepreneurs in Northampton. So now, fast forward to 2026, so starting last year, 2025, we replicated the study, really wanting to think about the resources that we have in the Pioneer Valley, how nationwide resources to support entrepreneurs are getting more and more scarce, and how we can think about better allocating those resources so we make sure that they're meeting the needs that entrepreneurs really have. So we replicated the study in in 4 counties, Franklin, Hampshire, Hampden, and Berkshire. And so there are 3 parts of this study. One we've completed, and that's the survey of entrepreneurs. We had that in both English and Spanish, and thanks to many of our partners, we had about 250 responses, and that's going to be the crux of what we're sharing today. We hosted 3 focus groups, so those are complete, and Grace is going to share some of like the overarching themes from those focus groups. And then the part that we're working on now is the Entrepreneurial Support Organization Survey. So we want to hear from those who are supporting entrepreneurs and hear what needs and barriers they're seeing. And from those 3 pieces of research, we'll triangulate the research. And then on March 8th, which is International Women's Day, we'll have our research reveal right here at the Sphere. And Grace, I'm going to toss the microphone to you.
All righty, wonderful. Well, I want to share a little bit about the demographics of the survey participants. And this way, when we look at the data and the responses, you'll have an understanding of who are the people who responded to the survey and who is kind of giving these responses. So we asked, what county do you currently run your business in or live in? And the majority of responses came from Hampden and Hampshire County. We had Berkshire County following up with 13%, and then Franklin County least represented. So this is the makeup of where our responses came from geographically. And we asked, what is your business stage? So overwhelmingly, the majority of people who responded were in a growth and establishment phase, and much more than about a quarter than the quarter that were kind of in the other buckets. So we have a seed, development, launch bucket that was 24%. So that's about a quarter, and then a little bit in each of the pre-concept and maturity. So that's who responded as far as their business stage. We asked about the industries that were to see which industries were represented. And the top four you can see right here. And overwhelmingly, we had services, personal and professional, making up close to 40% of the responses. And then we had retail, e-commerce, and food and beverage close behind. We asked, where do you operate in terms of a brick and mortar, or do you operate online, or maybe a combination? And we're pretty evenly split between hybrid, storefront, and home-based. And so these are where people are working in terms of their day-to-day lives, if they're leaving the house, if they have a location, a physical location, or if they're just providing services virtually. Online only and mobile pop-up was less than a quarter. So in most cases, there's some kind of a storefront or a hybrid situation going on. And you'll see that almost half of the responses came from solopreneurs. So almost 50% were people who were running their business by themselves. And then there's another quarter of responses that came from 2 to 4 employees, including yourself. And so overwhelmingly, 3/4 of the responses came from the less than 5 employees, less than 5 people in a team for this company. And then the other quarter came from 5 and above. And as far as revenue, we're mostly the majority looking at pre-revenue and less than $50,000 a year. And then close behind is the 50 to 150K, and then 150 to 500K. But more than half we're looking at pre-revenue and less than 50,000. So that is financially the makeup of our businesses that were surveyed. As far as identity-based demographics, 72.7% did not identify as LGBTQ+, but we do have 23% who did identify as LGBTQ+. So they're well represented here. And the majority of responses came from white business owners, and close behind were Black and Latin business owners, coming up closer behind with 17 and 18% of responses. So with that, I'm just going to take a pause here. If anyone has any thoughts or questions about the demographics, and some of the highlights that I'll point out are that we had more than half of the responses coming from people who were pre-revenue and and less than 50,000. There are a lot of solopreneurs, less than 5 employees, a lot of small business represented, but also some responses kind of evenly spread out in some of the other categories.
Grace, it's Dawn. Can you go back to the last slide that you just showed?
Yeah, sure.
So could people check off multiple boxes, or were they only allowed to choose one?
I believe you could select multiple. Isn't that right, Megan?
I think so, Dawn. We can confirm and get back to you.
Yeah,
If you could, that would be great. Thank you.
sure. Good point.
Do these numbers sort of reflect what our community makeup is? Like if you were to overlap state data?
Yeah, so we are definitely looking into that, Katie, and we're planning on having that comparison in our final report. And so,
Very cool,
yeah,
March 8th.
yeah, that's right. Yep. And we're going to break it down by county. So,
Awesome.
yeah. Any other thoughts or reflections from the group? Well, thank you for those questions, and we'll be sure to address those in the final report. And I'll pass it back to Megan to take us into the survey findings.
All right. So when looking at the survey findings, there were basically two big buckets, and you might remember this from our agenda, but one, we're looking at the external barriers, and that was replicating that statewide report from 2021, and one was looking at personal barriers. So first, we're going to look at the external barriers. We're going to share, and again, this is a survey findings, so this is like one of the three pieces, so initial findings, but we're going to share that with you and then ask some questions for reflections and things that surprised you. So survey findings, will pop up the slide. Thanks, Grace. So external barriers, and I'll give you a moment to digest what's on this slide. So the top external barrier from the survey were the three capitals. That's social, inspirational, and financial. The second largest response that we got as far as an external barrier affecting your ability to successfully run your business was networking and mentoring. And that was also, I'm going to give you a sneak peek of the focus groups, but that was also something that really came up as one of the themes in the focus groups, which at the Sphere we found really interesting. And then the third largest barrier to success was navigating the complex. So not that we don't have a lot of resources in the Pioneer Valley, but sometimes either there are so many you don't know where to look, you're crunched on time, so you don't have the time to actually navigate that. You almost need like somebody to kind of direct the path for you.
Megan, a quick question on can you go back one, please? On the mentoring piece, could we include business assistants in that conversation?
You know, we left it, and I can give you the full question sample, Roberto, but we left it just as networking and mentoring, so it was open to interpretation. Where we got the further qualitative response was in those focus groups.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So I have a question on that as well. So, we often hear entrepreneurs saying they want to network and they want to mentor, but they don't have time. So it doesn't feel like it rises to the occasion because they don't have time. Do you have a sense of the individuals that responded that networking and mentoring was important? Were individuals that were new to working with everybody, or were they more people that had gone through some trainings with eForall, or they'd gone through something with Roberto, or they'd gone through one of your mentoring opportunities? Are these people that are completely new, or had they experienced something? Do you know the answer to that?
I don't know the exact answer to that, Dawn, but I can give you what I remember from the focus groups where we really dug into that topic a little bit more. And Grace, feel free to chime in here too. And again, this is anecdotal data, so this is just coming from the top of my head. But it was those who are looking for a specific kind of mentor or something really specific to their needs as a business owner or maybe their sector. Those who wanted to have those networking and mentoring experiences but didn't know maybe didn't feel comfortable in some of those that they attended it previously, or we're trying to find. One of the quotes was, "I'm trying to find the right room. I just don't know where the rooms are." Which makes me think a little bit too about like navigating the complex. Like, not that we don't have these resources out there, but it's almost sometimes there's so many networking maybe opportunities, they're not able to find the one that meets their specific needs. But that's something we'll dig into more when we get into the focus group data. Grace, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
Actually, I wanted to share a little bit about our focus group, because that was there was so much rich discussion in networking and mentoring, just like you were saying, Megan. And when we asked who's on your short list, what makes a mentor or peer group genuinely useful for you, these are some of the responses that we got. Some of the boxes, the rectangular boxes, are these attributes of what makes a peer group really useful. And then who's on your short list? It was all sorts of different community organizations, personal connections, in-person and online groups, industry groups as well. And I think, John, in response to your question, we saw a lot of people who had been connecting and connected, but they were having a hard time maybe finding the right connections or the best connections. And we found that there were a lot of, I was really interested in the variety of responses that we got about like who's on that short list. And that short list isn't always in person. It was also people who were online, really. For example, if there were like medium stage companies that really needed to grow in their specialized industry group, they found more value out of like an industry group rather than kind of like a general coaching group. So it did really depend on the person and the specific challenges that they were experiencing. And yeah, we'll definitely add a lot more context and detail to that.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for your question.
So some questions for discussion, and thank you so much. We've already had some people like jump in and ask questions. That's what we want. So feel free just to unmute your microphone and hop right in, or the chat box. We invite you to do whatever's comfortable for you. But questions for discussion, looking at these external barriers. What connected for you? What surprised you? And what further questions do you have?
I have a question kind of based in this mentor realm, in that when you're looking for that sort of person, a mentor within your industry, you're also now looking for somebody who may be a competitive business. So how do people build those relationships? Is it best to seek things out through communities outside of, different states, different areas of the state? Like, I guess I'm concerned about like how that is working for folks, especially solopreneurs and like small brick and mortars.
What I've seen locally in terms of mentorship are folks that have not like Scorer, which are the retirees, folks who've moved on from the industry but still have the knowledge. So most of the mentorship opportunity that I've seen are not necessarily direct competitors, but someone who has knowledge in the industry and is already out of it. At least that's what I've experienced locally with Scoring, other mentoring opportunities that I've seen. There is peer-to-peer mentoring, but that's not a larger, at least from my perspective, I haven't seen our large focus on that. What I have seen are folks who have retired and want to give back.
Thank you. It's always good to hear what the sort of temperature is out there for this kind of mentoring. I would imagine like union-based companies have more access to it built in.
So I have a question. The three capitals is clearly by far the largest barrier, and there are three components to that. Was there a ranking of those three?
That's such a great question, Vince. There was not in the survey, but we did dig into that a little bit more in the focus groups, where we could get more of those qualitative pieces and really kind of dig into what some of those answers were. But that would be a great question for the next iteration.
And Vince, as far as the capitals, the focus group highlight for the next section, we'll be talking about funding.
Yeah, sneak peek. It came up again. Yeah, Angela.
Hi, all. I'm so
Hi.
excited to be part of this group. I think this is really fantastic information. Thank you for doing the work. This is great. My thought is that, I knew we had a lot of solo businesses in this area, but to see that it's basically half of the workforce, my thought is, and I've been thinking about this for a while, is that who are those companies that are in that 49.8%, and how do you get them to grow to create jobs? Like this is a great opportunity for our area, I feel, to be able to create jobs to sustain and to be able to live and be viable here. So that's just one of my thoughts that rolls around in my head a lot.
Thanks, Angela.
And just to add a little bit to that is how much of those solopreneurs are solopreneurs not necessarily by choice? Because right now the labor force is really, really tough. I know some of our businesses are looking to hire folks. They're having a really tough time doing it. So there is a discussion. Thank you. There is a discussion to be had involving, HR components to it also. But some of those solopreneurs are solopreneurs not by choice.
One of the things, Angela and Roberto, just to follow up on your comments, one of the things that we're going to be thinking about once we finish the data collection is making recommendations to those that support entrepreneurs. So we'll be connecting with you all, the entrepreneurial support organizations, to help us come up with some of those recommendations and for feedback.
Angela, some of the other things we're seeing is that a lot of our solopreneurs are trying to work with each other now,
Oh, great.
combining forces on certain services. So if one offers something, but they can't seal the deal unless they get a little bit more of something else, they'll partner with another solopreneur to put the whole package together. So while it's not creating more jobs, it's still creating the business flow to have the deal close
Mm-hmm.
and the money spent.
Awesome. That's great. Thanks, Sarah.
I do think there is something to the collaboration that came up in our focus group conversations that I don't know if it's something that was happening a lot pre-pandemic or if that's something post-pandemic where people are collaborating more and maybe competing a little bit less, but that could be also something to look into. All right, we're gonna shift gears into the personal barriers. So personal challenges, I'm going to give you a few moments to digest what rose to the top for this question.
Do we know what ages these folks are? Did we ask their ages at all?
I'm trying to remember. I don't think we did, but let me verify, Dawn, and get back to you. or actually, you know what, Tiffany Thibodeau, who's one of our advisory board members, she's giving us she might be able to check. Yep, she says she's checking right now. Man, we have best advisory board. So things that came to the top of the list for personal challenges and work-life balance, which for me, I was like not super surprised. And also it's like, what are the recommendations? Like, how do we, you know, there's a lot to unpack there. So work-life balance. Number 2, accessing funding. And the third thing that rose to the top was coping with fear of failure. And I think these are interesting because they speak almost like a little bit more to the dispositions, right, than the skill or the knowledge. Grace did a little bit of further digging with some visual note taking from the focus group, so I'll let her share that.
Yeah, and to add some qualitative information to kind of that funding piece, we asked about money and operations. So tell us about your most recent money moment. What was hardest? What support would make it easier next time? And overwhelmingly, we saw that funding and cash flow was a big challenge, especially with the irregularity of business, seasonality. Sometimes there's some predictability, but just that difficulty of, you know, I got to make a living, but the money's not coming in regularly. And additionally, how to set pricing. A lot of the business owners really wanted to serve the community and be profitable. So how do they make that accessible price point and still make sure that they can cover all their costs? Another challenge we saw was around credit and sometimes the need for fast credit. And sometimes they were struggling to get that loan approved in time for payroll. So the desired support that they shared were grants and funding opportunities, industry-specific knowledge, and that relates to pricing, for example, and that seasonality, and then consulting and learning opportunities. So these are the things that participants identified as possible ways that could help next time.
Was any of this broken out between folks that have a service and have a product, like a physical product?
So we did note which businesses were present at the focus groups. Like, we asked everyone to introduce themselves and their business. And so from that, we could kind of separate out the product versus service kind of as a category. But yeah, what were you thinking there, Katie, in terms of like the insight that would come out of that? Yeah.
I think also being able to set a price for your worth of service is just as difficult for entrepreneurs and new businesses as it is to be able to look at a product, like a physical item, to know where you would fall in that was kind of what I was wondering, if it was broken a little further out, to see if who rose to the top with the difficulties.
Yeah, good point.
That would definitely be interesting.
Yeah.
I need to add one thing about the need credit piece. Fast credit it typically gets you into a lot of trouble. I would love to see if that could be some type of planning for future credit needs, as opposed to making that accessible to get fast. Fast credit is usually a really bad scenario for the client. Once they're in, I know we can't help them. The banks can't help. So I'd prefer to turn that into a planning for future credit need, as opposed to fast credit. That when you said that, it's like the hairs in the back of my neck went up from from what I've seen in the industry. So I needed to add that. I'm sorry.
I had a similar feeling, Roberto. I was like, ah.
Me too.
No.
Grace, could you talk a little about the like grants and funding opportunities? I think, and maybe others that are providing technical assistance can also speak to it, but my role at Valley, we're seeing during COVID in a little post that there was a significant amount of grant funding. And so that has shifted a lot of entrepreneurs' mindset that businesses can start solely on grants, or that there are grants available and they will never need to go for financing. Was that broken out further as in what they're looking for in terms of grants versus actual financing of any kind to support them?
Yeah, that's we didn't really dive deeply into sort of like what is exactly meant by funding in terms of like financing or grants, but I do think, Sarah, that exactly what you're referring to has kind of shifted expectations in terms of there was just this big insurge of grant opportunities for businesses, and then kind of after COVID and seeing that go away has kind of sort of left this lingering expectation maybe of grants that that are no longer available. And yeah, we talked about funding from like many perspectives. So there were people who like needed that initial funding to get their business going, and they struggled to get funding from traditional, maybe like sources like banks, and so they went to family. And so we did talk about like a lot of a large range of different funding opportunities, from leveraging your personal connections, like feeling the need for introductions to find who are the investors, like what kinds of financing can I go for, what will I be approved for. It was really like the whole spectrum in that conversation. Anything else to add there, Megan?
This is like the educator side of me. I think the funding conversations were like the most emotional conversations in the focus groups.
I have one more question about the funding piece. When speaking about the funding, were people geared up, ready to go to try and access it separate of grants, or is that the weakness, that they needed the support to get to the phase of seeking financing or funding of some sort through investors or whomever?
Yeah, a few kind of really early stage companies come to mind from the focus groups where they kind of went to a bank and didn't have sort of that proof of revenue to be able to be approved, or maybe any collateral to be approved for a traditional loan. And then they were exploring other opportunities, such as like a personal loan from family members to, for example, start their restaurant. And so that, I think they were, like trying to navigate the financing landscape in terms of like given where I am now, what can I be approved for? And if that's not going to work, like what else can I do? What are my other options?
Send them my way.
One of the cool things, Sarah, we haven't gotten to this yet, but one of the questions at the end of the survey was like, would you like to be contacted for additional support? And so we are going to be connecting the people who said yes, like I need help. So that's one thing I'm really excited about.
Great, thanks.
I have a question on, or not even, I guess it's not a question, but the industry specific knowledges. Um, was there, was it broken down between, like what part of the industry that they're looking for, for instance, like, difference between, help with marketing or finances, or like, and like, what was the biggest category that local community members are looking for trainings on? I know that, like, I've found that the financial piece is the biggest hurdle, I feel like, for a lot of people to get through, understanding their own budget and understanding their own finances and stuff like that. So I was just kind of curious, in your survey, do you break down the specific things that people need the training or help with?
So, so what I think in terms of training and ways that we can help business owners, I'm not sure exactly if we have that broken out in the survey, but definitely in the focus groups, when we were talking about industry specific knowledge, there were it was kind of I'll just share a few memories that come to mind. One was kind of like, I wish I had a mentor in my industry, because for me to grow my business, I need this very specific information, and that's what my mentor, like, I would like a mentor to teach me. Pricing and costs, being very specific in an industry. That's another topic that came up. Yeah, I think those were the two that come to mind, sort of like the growth piece, and then also to get off the ground, the industry specific costs and pricing. And then, yeah, and a lot of people, when they couldn't find that community within their industry locally, or had trouble connecting with people locally in their industry, I saw that plenty of people were looking at online groups for that industry.
Yeah, just to piggyback off what you were saying, Grace, a couple of the anecdotes I remember were people looking for industry specific knowledge and going to Facebook or Instagram and finding and connecting with groups or people on social media or TikTok.
Yeah.
Conversation's good when you get to the questions for discussion, even before you get to the questions for discussion slide. So thank you so much for your thoughts and for your questions. Anything else that you wanted to share regarding connections, surprises, or further questions? And these are all good. We're taking copious notes, so keep them coming.
I think one interesting thing is that, from what I'm looking at, is that Valley CDC, Franklin CDC, and Common Capital should sit down, create some sort of a group where we all know what each other are doing, because the need is there. It's obvious that it's there, and with the supports that we have, we can deal with the mentorship. There could be grant opportunities and so on, and we can help get grants for Valley CDC and Franklin CDC if need be. But I just think from what I've seen here is that we need to do a better job of creating a collaborative group, including the banking industry, including us, to create this funding resource table that, as things pop up and if people have questions, that you guys can then refer them to the group and we can then address issues there. So I'm putting it out there to Sarah, to Angela, about us getting together, Liberty Bank, Florence, whatever other banks are out there, they need to be part of the conversation too. And see if we can create a working group for lending, for addressing the lending piece. Because we also have business assistants. So that could be part of the mentorship piece too. So I offer that as part of this group, that we're part of this discussion to see if we can join our resources together, better serve each other, better help each other, and address some of the concerns that I've seen in this survey.
On behalf of Liberty Bank, I agree, and we would like to be at the table.
Mm-hmm.
So I see that Tiffany was able to find out that age was not asked, but gender was. I'd be really interested for the age. Can we go back to the screen that triggered me asking that? It was about work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that I asked about age is when, we think about the different groups and, that we're in. We've got boomers that work their tail off, and age-life workforce balance wouldn't have been an issue for them. Then you got my age where we're like, yeah, work-life balance is pretty important. And then you've got the youngest generation coming out looking at mom and dad and saying, I want to be, I work-life balance is more important than ever before. So for me, it would be really interesting to see if we could back through and see what was the age of these folks to understand what is that work-life balance. Are they entrepreneurs because they saw their mom and dad working their ass off and didn't get to have that work-life balance, so they're starting a business to make sure that they can get that work-life balance? Or is that just something that we all want in this day and age because COVID made us realize we need work-life balance?
I might be able to add something to that just based on our last 6 years of lenders or borrowers. In 2020, 42% of our borrowers were women-owned businesses. In 2025, 61% of the business owners that came out and did financing were women-owned businesses. That could have something to do with the point of that work-life balance, where there's more women opening businesses who also have families and need to find that balance in between. I mean, the number is pretty significant in terms of the growth here. And this is just in the 6 years, 42% to 61%. It's pretty dramatic.
Indeed.
Dawn, in our focus groups, we also asked about ways that identity have been maybe challenges for different entrepreneurs, and we'll be sharing those results in the report as well, and just kind of that qualitative description of like what parts of your identity have made it hard. And of course, there were plenty of moms who shared that being a mom and trying to run a business is a big challenge.
Thank you.
I know due to time, but I do agree with you, Dawn, on the COVID thing. I think everybody really realized that life can continue on from a different perspective when COVID hit. And then all of a sudden it was like, nope, let's go back to the way it used to be. Like life didn't shift and change and follow what was being presented during COVID. And I really do feel that that has been a big struggle for the people that I've worked with and know. So
Thanks for sharing that, Angela. All right, last call. I want to play that song. It's closing time. Open up the door. All right, sorry, 90s kid here.
right.
All right, Grace, one more. So thank you for being with us today. We have a couple of other invitations and opportunities to share with you all. You'll see I have my overalls on today. We have Christina in the back who's setting up some canvases and paint, because tonight we have a paint and sip at the Sphere from 4:30 to 6:30. I believe we have 2 tickets left, so please come and join us. Financial Friday, this Friday. You don't have to be a member of the Sphere. Come hang out with us, bring your laptops. We're writing grants, we're working on budgets, we're on QuickBooks. I'm trying to figure out Wave. So we just work side by side. Open invitation this Friday from 9 to 11. In February, our event is a book group. We'll be digging into the book Girl Code. It's starting on February 12th, and that's from 4:30 to 5:30, and that will be hybrid, in person at the Sphere or Zoom, whatever is easiest for you and works best for your schedule. That's open to the public. Coffee and conversation, also open to the public on February 13th. Just show up. You don't even need to let us know you're coming. And also, the last thing, which relates to our time together today, is the Breaking Barriers Research Report reveal. Try saying that 5 times fast. But that's on International Women's Day, which is Sunday, March 8th. From 11 to 1, you can come and meet some of the participants who are in the survey focus groups, some of our ESO colleagues. We'll have copies of the research reports, executive summaries. We'll have posters up of some pull quotes and other things from the reports. And we'll also have, I believe, cookies and brownies and maybe even ice cream, as I look at Christina, all invented by women for International Women's Day. And that's, again, open to anyone.
May I add one thing to that, please?
Yes. Did we miss the Living Local?
The next
Get it,
entrepreneurial
Roberto.
spotlight is on February 12th at 5 o'clock. It is at 276 Bridge Street in Springfield, Mass. It'll be highlighting the work that BECMA does locally. So
Amazing.
BECMA is our presenting organization. Liberty Bank is our sponsor for the event. And it'll be 276 Bridge Street in Springfield, February 12th from 5 to 7:30. The one after that will be the Center for Women in Enterprise. And then we're going to the Berkshires after that. So please, if you can join, we've had 5 sellout events. We're hoping for a 6th. This is a conversation about who's doing what out there. And even us as providers, we're learning what each organization is doing. We have an idea, but when they present not only to the businesses that are in attendance, but also to the partners that are in attendance. I've learned so much about what each organization is doing, and this can only make us better at our mission. Is to understand what we each are doing, make sure that we align our resources in a way that we're not stepping on each other, especially in a really tight fiscal environment. We've got to get smarter. So please, if you can show up, we would greatly appreciate it. It's on our Facebook, our LinkedIn, it's on LivingLocal413. It's plenty of places to find it. And if you register, please join us. Thank you.
And just sharing the collaborative love and hearts with Liberty Bank. Thank you so much for sponsoring this research. Thank you for Common Capital and LivingLocal413 for partnering with us on so many things. Thank you to the Northampton Chamber for everything. We just love you guys too. Yeah. Feel the love. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Oh, also I forgot. We're doing a Westfield accelerator. So if you know someone who owns or lives in Westfield, spherenorthampton.com, apply before February 13th. And that includes a $1,900 stipend that they can use for any professional services that will serve their business. Now we're done.
All right.
Vince, do you want to wrap it up?
I want to thank everyone again for coming today, and again, just echo all the gratitude that Megan just expressed to the partners involved in today's initiative. And again, to the Sphere Northampton, thank you for providing these insights and this compelling information to our community. And again, Florence Bank for making this possible. So thank you all for attending.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.